welcome back to my channel. I'm back with another plant video. We are talking about Hoya today. When are we not talking about Hoya on my channel? Because Hoyas are literally the best plant on the planet. I love them. We all love them. If you don't love them, you will love them at some point in your life. I can guarantee it. So today's video takes inspiration from a Facebook group. So this Facebook group, Hoya Lovers FB Store, I will have it linked down below for y'all. I have talked about it multiple times. I think that it's one of the better places to get your Hoya from. Recently, they've been doing a lot of auctions and I personally don't enjoy it, but they do have in search of posts now. So they have this one thread where several people will comment what they're searching for, and I just thought it was like kind of a cool concept because I was able to go through those posts and kind of see which plants are the plants that people are most looking for. I have developed a wish list because of that post, because some people are looking for plants that I've never even heard of before, and then there are these plants that I've noticed it seems like everybody is looking for. So I kind of just wanted to make a video to talk about Hoya, to kind of educate y'all on how popular these plants are, I guess. And yeah, if you want to save some coin, I would recommend waiting because of the popularity of these plants. It seems like more sellers are going to import them, and I think eventually the price of these plants will go down. I don't particularly find them to be rare plants because they're really just imported plants. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. The first plant that I feel like everybody and their mother, everybody and their grandmother have been wanting is a Tomsonii. So we all know that I have a Tomsonii. I got this Tomsonii months and months ago before the popularity really took off. I got this plant from Pepperomia Pots on Instagram. It was just a cutting back then. It was literally just a single, just one cutting. I think it had like 4 nodes maybe, and it has developed into its own very large plant. I think I got this back in September, and now it looks like this. This plant is the coolest plant. I think it's probably one of my favorite Hoya as well, just because of the crazy fuzziness on it. It's not fuzzy like velvety, and it's not fuzzy like miniature little hairs. It's like hairy. Like, this is a hairy plant. Whenever the new leaves come out, they're just full of hair, and it is just the cutest thing. There is a white version, which is the one that I have, and there is a pink version. Sometimes the leaves will be slightly splashy, sometimes they'll just be a solid green. This plant will look a little bit different depending on who you get it from and just how it was grown. But yeah, this definitely I think is the #1 plant that everybody seems to be looking for, and honestly, not many people sell it, which is why the price of it has just gone up and up and up. But I know that this is a plant that you could definitely import from another country, from Thailand, Indonesia, and I have heard that it's not ridiculously expensive to do that. So yes, beautiful baby, I love it. The second plant that I have seen, it seems like this is the #1 plant that I would recommend people who aren't sure if they like Hoya to get. And I used to recommend it as that because it didn't used to be ridiculously expensive. Like, it was expensive, yes. It was probably like $35, $40, like $30, you know, depending on how big it was. And it was just never one of those things that would go for over $100, believe me. And it was like that, again, because it was easily imported. And it seemed like it grew fast, so people were able to take cuttings from it, and it seemed like all of the plants that were imported were like very large plants, so people would just kind of cut them and sell them, and that's why it wasn't that expensive. But it is the Calista Phyla. I adore Calista Phylas. Like, Calista Phylas, like, the veins on this plant are just stunning. Like, you've never really seen anything like this on another kind of plant. Like, you're not gonna get a philodendron that looks like this. It's just so awesome. I adore it, which is why I think it is so popular, because it's just such a cool looking plant. They are awesome, super easy care also, and they seem to grow really quickly. As you can see, mine has this baby coming out and also another little baby leaf coming out right there. And along those lines, I want to talk about the finlaysonii. So this is another one of those plants that has several different kinds of finlaysonii, to where I think most collectors don't even care what it's called, which I think is odd. It just seems to be one of those plants that are very difficult to ID because there are so many of them. The veins on these plants are also just amazing. This one is not a gunungading. Unfortunately, I still don't have that plant, but I do have this finlaysonii, which I think, correct me if I'm wrong, could be an AH029. I'm not 100% sure, and honestly, I won't really know unless I ask the seller, and if I ask the seller, then the seller might have to ask their seller, and then it just kind of goes on and on and on, which is why finlaysonii are kind of confusing, but they are just so amazing. Like, they're just like chef's kiss amazing. The next plant is one of my favorite plants. I've talked about it time and time again. It's a quick grower, it's beautiful, it has the most adorable looking leaves. Sometimes it's splashy, sometimes it's like a little bit splashy, and other times it's just solid green. And I am talking about the Hoya Matilde. So Hoya Matildes really seem to be one of those plants that I just see all the darn time, and I just think that it's for good reason. I don't know, it's something that you are very attached to and that you really love, and it just lives up to your expectations, you know, and it's just like the little splashies on it are just beautiful. Speaking of splashies though, I talked about this a little bit in my repot with me video, but I feel like I didn't make it super clear. It has been going around recently, this new information that splash plants are not real. Like, they're not, there's no such thing as a Matilde splash. Like, yes, obviously you can see that a plant is more splashy, but just because it's splashed doesn't mean that it will stay that splashy for the rest of its life. So it could easily revert. It's not really like variegation, it's just kind of like whatever the plant decides to do, you know? It's not something that I think you can really induce. I know that I have heard from a couple of people that when you fertilize a little bit every time that you water, like very diluted, apparently it causes more splashiness. I haven't really ventured into that as much as I want to. I'm too scared. But this plant for me is a little bit on the like speckly side. But yeah, this plant, I have seen the prices start like inflating like crazy on this. Like, cuttings have been going for like $50, and it's like, don't do that. I have talked about that so many times. I don't like the inflation of prices. It stresses me out. So yeah, Hoya Matilde, awesome plant. Polyneuras are the coolest plants. They look like fishtails. They don't even look like any other plant that you've ever seen before, similar to a lot of the other Hoyas that I talk about, but it's just like one of those plants that just stands out. I just think that it really deserves the hype that it gets because it is awesome. Like, its growth pattern is super cool. It just kind of trails out and it looks like mermaid tails, and again, these guys are really creeping up on the price scale. It is just like going up and up and up. I did buy my plant, which at the time was only like one stem, and I think I paid $45 for it, including shipping. So it's not that price anymore, but it is still just super beautiful. Polyneuras are just so cool, but you can get them for less expensive if you import. Basically what I'm trying to say once again. And then the next plant is the Hoya Sarawak. Hoya Sarawak, however you want to say it. This is the cutest plant. I think that the little like splashies on this plant really just gets me going, you know? I love the veins on this. It is just so stunning. The shape of the leaf is beautiful. I just don't understand how you could not love this plant. These big leaf Hoyas are definitely just like on the rise. Like everybody wants them. Everybody wants latifolias. Everybody wants sarawaks. People want that really long name that I can never pronounce and I've never even attempted to pronounce. They're just so stunning. Everybody likes a leaf that's almost as big as their head. Definitely gaining popularity, but once again, I know they are easily imported. So I feel like that might be a trend. It's already been a trend from all the plants that I've talked about so far, but yes, Hoya Arawak, beautiful, stunning. You can get it for cheaper, so just hold on, hold tight. You will get your plants eventually. Then the next plant that I want to talk about is the Hoya rotundiflora. This, once again, is one of my favorite plants. I feel like all of these plants are one of my favorite plants, so I'm so sorry if I've said that like 20 times and you are annoyed with me, but this plant is just the most unique looking plant. I believe this is the reason why everybody just adores this plant, because it's unique. Like, when have you ever seen a plant with a rectangle leaf? Like, tell me. When have you seen a little succulent looking thing that looks like a platypus? Like, this looks like Perry the platypus. I used to think that it was very funny looking. I was just kind of like, that is a weird plant. But it made me happy. And I think that's why a lot of people want it, because it just, the shape of it is so funny. It makes you happy. It makes you smile. And that's why we love plants, right? The next plant is actually getting new growth for me, and I could not be more excited about it. You guys do not understand. It has a little nipple here. That's definitely not what you call it, but it is just a little thing that's coming out. It's about to give me like a new tendril and then hopefully new leaves. This is my Hoya villosa. This specifically is the caudata. This plant is super, super, super cool. I think everybody really loves villosas. So there's this plant that is a Hoya villosa that has a slightly more squatty leaf. Like, it is slightly shorter, but it still has a little bit of a peak. And then there's a villosa that has long leaves that are kind of ruffly on the side, and again has this like peak toward the end of it. And then there is a globulosa that people have actually kind of argued is the same as the villosa, and it's just kind of one of those things that's debated about. All of these plants are so cool, but this plant I think has my heart the most, just because I grew it from a little cutting and it is just so beautiful. It's one of those plants that you kind of want to just like bite into. I don't know how to describe it, but like you just want, like, you look at it and it's so shiny that you're like, yes, I would like to eat you. I'm sorry. But yeah, I don't know if that's just me. That's probably just me. This is one that I think is worth just like looking for and buying and having currently. Like, you need it now, you know? But yeah, Hoya villosa. The next plant on the list is a Hoya caudata. This is another one that there are multiples of. So there's one that's super silvery, one that's super like huge leaves, like one that just has large green leaves. I'm pretty sure that the like biggest motivating factor of why people want this plant is because they have fuzzy flowers. Like, they have very hairy flowers, the coolest flowers ever. That's definitely why I wanted this plant. The leaves also, like, new little baby leaves come in hairy. Like, if you're a hairy plant girl, I recommend that you get a caudata, because caudatas are just so awesome and furry and just soft and nice, and I just love them. Hoya caudata is definitely a plant that is super hyped up, and I think it's hyped up for good reason, because this plant is just amazing. And then unfortunately the last plant here that I have to show y'all is the Hoya serpens. Hoya serpens, like, I understand the hype. I understood the hype back then. I wanted this plant so badly, and I'm positive that this is just because it's my plant and I haven't quite learned the ropes yet, and it did have root rot when I got it, and I had to transition it to leca, and in leca it's doing okay, but it's not doing as well as I want it to do. But there are so many plants out there that are just stunning. Like, I know Concrete Botanical on Instagram, her serpens, like, look at it. Like, that is what I want when I look for a serpens. But this is one of those plants that is so small that cuttings of it are expensive, and I just don't think that small plants are really worth the price that they're going for. The grow tent is definitely doing wonders for it, but before I put it in the grow tent, it was just not happy. So I would not recommend this one for beginners if you get a small plant. But yeah, I definitely see so many people asking if other people have this one available because it's cute. It's an adorable plant. I really just think that Instagram portrays this plant as just being like super like buttery and like a little carpet of just cute little Hoya that you can like snuggle. That's what I think of when I see those pictures of serpens, but my serpens just doesn't look like that, and I'm hoping that the grow tent can make it look like that one day, but just this one is definitely super hype. Okay, and then I have 5 more that I want to talk about that I do not currently have, and I think we're just kind of gonna go through this. It's kind of a wish list, but at the same time not really, because I know that these plants are very expensive and people are looking for them like crazy. So the first one that I'm going to talk about is the manipurensis. I used to talk about this on my channel all the time. I love it. Again, it's one of those plants that are similar to the rotundiflora, where it's so unique that people just want it because it's like, I want something that's not just a leaf. I want something that's super cool, that looks different than anything in my collection, and I think a manipurensis is one of those things. The next plant is the Hoya meredithii. Hoya meredithii, just like look at those leaves, look how huge those leaves are, look how like veiny and like translucent, and just, oh, I love it so much, and it's so cool for a good reason. Once again, I think it's very popular. The next plant I gotta say is the undulata. Undulatas are just so cool looking. Like, they're one of those plants that are so ugly that they're pretty, you know? Like, I just adore it. Like, it is the coolest looking plant. I think it's unique, I could give it that, but it's just one of those plants that I think people enjoy because it's kind of like part of the hunt. It's really hard to find because it's so difficult to grow. It's really hard to flower, so people like the challenge, and I just really enjoy it. Definitely do not recommend that plant for beginners though. It's expensive and you might kill it. So yeah, that's the third plant on the list of plants that I don't have yet, but I think are super hyped. The next plant I gotta say is the Hoya Michele. Hoya Michele's super gorgeous. I personally don't understand the hype on this one. Would I like one? Yes, because they're expensive and they're really cool looking. But I just like, there's something about this plant that reminds me of Vinobavada. I know that it has like some veins and stuff. Like, it's not one of those plants that I think is like ultra like unique, I guess, and that's part of the reason why it's not really on my list. Like, I enjoy it and I think it's cool looking. I just like, I don't know, I feel like you can get another plant that looks like that for a cheaper price. The last plant on this list, I think I'm gonna have to give it to the hypolasia, however you want to say it. It is just the most stunning plant. It's definitely on my wish list because it's just one of those plants that are kind of furry. They're long and unique, and I just feel like every plant on this list is unique in it of itself, and that's why people love these plants. Like, that's why people want these plants. It's like, oh, that looks like a different plant, I want it, and I just think that's very reasonable. That's how I started my collection and like wanted my collection to look like. I didn't want like a ton of finlaysonii that look exactly the same, or like a ton of Calista Phyla that look exactly the same. I kind of just wanted plants that like looked different, and then I would dive into the plants that look the same, you know? It's just beautiful. I love the hypolasia. It's just amazing. I adore it, and this one is definitely one that's been really difficult to find. That's gonna be it for today's video. I just talked about 15 Hoyas that I love and adore. I wish they were all less expensive. Unfortunately, these are all pretty pricey plants, and like I said, just because I'm saying that they're pricey for me doesn't mean that it's gonna be pricey for you, and it doesn't mean that if you're a seller and you're watching this video, it doesn't mean go like pricing these plants at like hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Like, please, I beg you, don't do that. I'm definitely going to be making an underhyped, like underrated Hoyas video because I have many that I have thought of and I've made a list already. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, go ahead and hit the like button down below, and if you like me or you like plant videos, go ahead and subscribe if you want to. I know that my mom told me that she hasn't been getting my videos like in her subscription feed, so if you want to know when I post, go ahead and hit the bell icon down below, or follow me on Instagram. I post on my stories a lot and I let you guys know anytime that I have a video up. But yeah, that's gonna be it for today's video, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye!